We're joined live this morning by Duncan, the former COO of Air Canada, also an airline industry expert. Duncan, good to talk to you again this morning. Let's start here. As the former CEO of an airline, what's happening behind the scenes at Delta this morning as that airline deals with what's happened here?
Well, the first thing that any airline would do in a situation like this is to reach out to the customers and the crew members who were impacted by this horrific event. Obviously, Delta, like any airline, has trained employees to take care of customers in a situation like this, and those employees have been activated. In a case where there was no casualties, thank goodness, many of those Delta team members will also be at hospitals where they'll be accompanying the customers.
And Duncan, you know, when you hear stories like this with aviation accidents, I mean, the Miracle on the Hudson, movies come to mind, A Flight with Denzel Washington. Obviously, this is not a movie, this is real life. But I expect that throughout the course of the investigation, the two pilots, who luckily also survived this crash, will be speaking to investigators. However, we spoke to an aviation expert earlier who said that they won't directly speak to the media. Is that just kind of protocol? Like there's always a spokesperson or an in-between?
Absolutely. I think the way these investigations take place is, first of all, they're extremely complex. It's not even just interviewing the pilots, but it's also going through the flight data recorder, the cockpit voice recorders. They'll be speaking to the air traffic controllers involved, and they'll also be doing things like looking at all the footage that we have now seen of this aircraft landing. And so it's going to be very, very complex. As you know, two runways at Pearson are actually closed because of the requirement for that investigation. So things are going to be proceeding over the next few days, but I don't believe we will be getting any answers, real answers, for months, if not longer.
And Duncan, what just stands out to you? You said you've seen the clips that are circulating so widely this morning. What stood out to you about what you saw when that plane A, landed, and then B, burst into flames?
Well, you know, it was such a horrific, the footage has just been so horrific because, you know, the first thing that came to mind is how could somebody survive this situation? The first thing that, you know, that I was thinking about were the reports of wind shear, but obviously that contradicts what the fire chief at Pearson Airport has said, that there were no significant wind shear issues. So I think that that's something which we'll have to get clearer answers on, which only the National Transportation Safety Board and the Canada Transportation Safety Board will be able to provide.
Okay, let's talk about legalities and liability here. In a situation like this, the passengers, survivors of the plane, if they endured injuries or trauma, of course, could they potentially sue the airline for this? And how does that all unfold?
I mean, obviously, you know, the legal rights of travelers are protected, and they'll have the option of pursuing legal action should they see that as being necessary. What generally happens in a situation like this is most airlines, you know, are very proactive in the way they treat their customers. You know, in terms of whether it's taking care of the customers directly, compensation, or anything of that nature. But, you know, clearly what we're dealing with here is an extremely challenging situation, which, you know, airlines, while they're always trying their best to be prepared for, there will be many unanswered questions which will only be answered in the weeks and months ahead. And depending on what the Transportation Safety Board uncovers, that's generally the basis of any further action by customers.
Yeah. Thankfully, these are extremely rare events as well. Duncan, the former CEO of Air Canada, airline industry expert, we certainly appreciate you joining us here on CP24 Breakfast this morning and helping us understand this a little better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.